Hello, my literary luminaries, and welcome back to Top 5 Thursday. This is one I'm really excited to talk about, so I'm going to jump in with absolutely no prelude, but today's topic is the top 5 best books that were suggested to you to read. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Number 1 is one that I'm really excited to show you guys the review of. It's not going to come out, I want to say, until sometime in March. I'm hoping to do like early March, like around let's see, what's the Wednesday that it would be? The 9th. I think it's coming out March 9th. But it's already out, like the book is already out, just my review's not going to be up for a while. And it's an amazing, wonderful book, and it is Song of Summer by Laura Lee Anderson. I feel like I may have mentioned Song of Summer in a previous video. It's so good. It was recommended to me by my best friend in the whole wide world, whose name is Kira. And Kira and I have known each other since we were in 2nd grade. We grew up together, we went to the same schools. And the book takes place in and around the town that we grew up in. And it's written by someone who's from that town. And it so shows that they know the area, they know what's going on. It was like walking around my childhood home again, and it was the most weird sense of like deja vu or something that I've ever had, but it was amazing because it showed such a deep understanding of the area and what the people that live there are like. And on top of that, it's an adorable little YA new adult, somewhere in that spectrum. They're just finishing up high school, I believe, so probably just finishing up high school? They're just finishing up school, one way or the other. And adorable little summer romance, and the main male character is deaf. And I love seeing deaf characters in literature because I've been fascinated with ASL since college. I know little pieces of sign, and I really want to learn more. I'd love to be a translator. It's just something that I have a personal passion about. So combine a passion for, deaf characters in ASL, plus setting it in places where I can go, oh my god, I've been there, I've done that. Ah! It was a wonderful book. So if you're from, Western New York, south of Buffalo, down toward Lake Chautauqua, absolutely check this book out. If you're not from around there, doesn't matter, pick up the book anyway, because it's an adorable romance, and it's funny and wonderful, and you should read it. Number 2. Number 2 is actually an entire trilogy that I'm going to moosh into one, and that is the Black Jewels trilogy, beginning with Daughter of the Blood and continuing from there. Now, I'm only referring to the first 3 in this particular set because I know the author has gone on and written more, but I have not personally read them, because the person who recommended them to me only recommended the first 3 books. For whatever reason, I do not ask. But a good friend of mine was wandering around back when Borders was closing, and he noticed that he could get copies of all 3 books for like under $10 together, bought them all, sent them to me. He'd been talking to me about these books forever because he really liked them. And so he was like, you know what? Here, I'm going to send them to you. Now you can read them. You have no excuse. And I'm very glad that he did. I know I mentioned the Black Jewels trilogy back in my video from not last week, but 2 weeks ago. Apologies, there are people stomping around out there. Because I mentioned Janelle, who's one of the lead, really is the lead female character in the entire trilogy, because she was one of my big badasses for my previous Top 5 Thursday. There's so much going on in that trilogy. It's wonderful. The characters are phenomenal. There's so much depth to it. I can't even begin to explain it, but I've suggested it to many other people, and I know at least one of the people I suggested it to really enjoyed the trilogy and is very glad that I did such. So they're definitely deserving of a place on the list. Oh, and they're by Anne Bishop. I'm going to check that. They're by Anne Bishop. I should have said that earlier. I apologize. Number 3. 3 I know is one I've talked about before as well. I don't remember what video it was for. But 3 is Vamped by David Sosnowski. And this was less recommended to me and more bought for me, so I suppose that's a recommendation. But it's a hysterical book dealing with what would happen if, vampires became the dominant race, I guess, as opposed to humans. How the balance would be shifted, what would happen, when a vampire comes across a human and decides that they want to take care of the human instead of eating them. It's got a really tongue-in-cheek kind of humor. It reminds me a great deal of characters that I've loved. It was just wonderful all the way around. And it's definitely one that, if you like vampire fiction and you like ones that don't quite take the standard tack at them, I would absolutely recommend Vamped. But it's just so much fun. It's just fun. And it's fun without being shallow. And that's very important to me. Number 4. I know I say that I try not to list, all of the authors that I've had the, pleasure of meeting and whatnot, but I do have to put Dearly Departed, and thus its sequel, Dearly Beloved, by Leah Habel on the list. Because I almost didn't read them. Despite the fact that, Leah's a YA author from my hometown, writing books, was gonna have a signing, I looked at it and went, yeah, but it's zombies. I don't really like zombies. And a zombie romance And so I almost didn't read it. But someone encouraged me. They went, just buy the book, meet her, make connections. Just say that, you've looked at it, you're going to read it, whatever. Give it a chance. Because it looks really interesting. So I was like, okay, fine. And I think I read the first chapter or two, maybe, before meeting Leah. I had a lot of fun talking to her at that first book signing. And of course, once I continued reading Dearly Departed, it's phenomenal. Leah has an amazing touch with dialogue. Her characters are easily some of the most engaging I've read. And it doesn't matter that I don't like vampires. Don't like zombies, because despite the fact that Bram and the others are zombies, the way they're approached in the series changes a lot of what I don't like about them. So it's really interesting. It's very well written. I know that due to personal reasons, Leah has stepped away from the series, but hopes that someday she may be able to continue it. And I'd love to see that, but of course, I wish only the best for Leah above and beyond anything I might want for her books. And number 5. I'm doing a lot of books in these videos lately that I'm sort of repeating myself throughout things, because this one is The Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and the books following. Still have not read third book. We'll get to it, promise. But that's one the BookTube recommended to me, because literally every BookTuber I watched was talking about Daughter of Smoke and Bone and how wonderful it was and how I needed to read it, how everyone needed to read it, and I finally was like, okay, stop. I was waiting for, I think, my car to get inspected or something. I was wandering around Barnes & Noble. I saw a copy of the book and went, all right, you know what? Fine. I'll just read it, and everyone can stop telling me to read it, and it'll be fine. And I'm very glad I picked it up, because I've had so much fun reading about Akira and Karu. I know I mentioned it last time I brought these up. I'm really looking forward to seeing where their romance goes and how those plot lines all close up, because there's a lot of things that could happen, and honestly, I'm not sure how it's going to end. And I love books that can actually make me wonder, because too often I know where it's going and I'm just looking to see how it gets there. This one I'm genuinely not sure, and that's rare enough that I'm really excited about it. In any event, those are my top 5 recommended books. What are yours? Recommend me your top 5 recommended books, and we'll just have this whole train of recommendation, and it'll be beautiful. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I would love to hear from you. And yet again, until next time, I will see you on Tuesday. Bye!